Hello, everyone. I am Sean, and welcome once again to my Horror Corner. As always, thank you so much for watching the video today. I do appreciate that. And again, to those of you who have subscribed to the channel, I really appreciate you guys as well, your encouragement, your support. Just thank you all so very much. Today, I'm super excited to have a guest on. He's been on with me before, but it's been a little while, so I'm going to welcome back Beau from Critic After Dark. Beau, thank you
Th-
for coming on, sir.
Thank you for having me back. It took a couple months off. We were supposed to do Maniac a couple months ago,
Yeah,
and I was it. Well, to be honest, it was just really hot this summer here in Canada, and I wasn't used to it. And my house was like over 100 degrees in
oh,
America,
wow.
so it
Damn.
was just brutal, man. So sitting here was just not fun. I would have had sweat just pouring down my forehead. I was like, I'll take the summer off. I know it's still summer technically, but here in Canada we start to feel the nicer temperatures in the middle of August.
Gotcha.
It's already down into like American, probably like 70s.
Okay.
So where it's feeling nice now.
Yeah, we're not quite there yet where I'm at. We're still hitting the low 90s right now, but yeah, and my house is so old. The circulation is not great. The living room stays cool, but when I come back here to my room or I go to other rooms of the house, yeah, I can have my air on and have it set on 70, but it's so hot outside, it's still running like 74, 75 in the house. Just I'm like, you got to be kidding me right now.
Yep, I
But
hear you.
yeah. Especially in the kitchen. If I'm cooking
Well,
something, my whole fucking house is like a sauna. I just
it's
hate it.
brutal. Oh, I know a
So
lot of
yeah.
people in the house are probably eating my sweat, to be honest. I pretty
That's
much do
a
all the cooking in this house, but
okay.
yeah. So like the other day, I was doing a stir fry, and I had sweat like dripping off the edge of my eyelids. Like it was like, holy fuck. And then yeah, some might have got in there. I don't know. Won't tell anybody though. Hopefully they don't watch this
Yeah. Yeah, they don't need to know that.
video.
That's awesome. All right. Well, today, I've talked about this movie in the past. I did it on the previous channel that I had. And to be honest, when I first started this channel back up back in October, this is the movie that I started with. But I wanted to revisit it for a couple of reasons because I've changed my rating scale and changed a few of the things that I do in this, and I just kind of wanted to go back and revisit this one. And I know this is one of your absolute favorite movies, so I was like, if I can get a guest on here, it's got to be Beau. Like Beau's got to be the one to talk about Psycho with me. So, yeah, thank you again for coming on. I do appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to talking about this one with you. But yeah, like I said, Beau and I are going to be discussing Psycho. We were talking about this before we started recording. Both of us have the 4K. We'll get into some things about that here in a little bit, but yeah, I think the picture and the sound quality is so good on this 4K, so good.
Oh, I'm right there with you. It's excellent. Like I was saying to our friend Brendan from Our Life in Horror that if you know somebody like his not his wife, but technically his wife, Sam, if
Yeah,
she wants to watch an old movie, she should watch Psycho on 4K because it doesn't feel old on this 4K.
right.
It looks so beautiful and the sound's so well done that it just feels like you're watching like a movie that was made last year just to look old.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
No, I
Like,
completely agree. Has she seen Psycho? Do you know?
no, she hasn't. She is not a big
Wow.
fan of watching older movies. That's why I
You
use.
know, I mean, uh, I know a few people like that too. One
Yep,
person in
me too.
particular comes to mind. There's a friend of mine that they're not a fan of old movies, especially black and white, and they like some horror movies, but they're not big on slashers. And I finally got them to watch Psycho, and they absolutely loved it. They
Yeah,
were like, "Yeah." So I'm like, "Okay, see, yeah,
exactly.
not all old movies are bad." But when I got them to watch it, I got them to watch my 4K, so that probably
Yeah,
helped a little bit. But
definitely. Yeah, because like even the old DVD was the first thing I watched it on, long, long, long time ago, and I remember it looking pretty bad, like pretty pixely, and
yeah,
it's not bad. It just looks like it was made when it was made.
right, yeah.
These 4Ks make them seem like they're freaking brand new movies. It's
Oh, I
cool.
know. And you know, you mentioned something a while ago, and I felt like probably at some point I would mention this, but it amazes me, movies like Psycho, but even going back to the Universal monster movies, because
Oh,
I'm such a big fan of those. When you get to watch like Dracula or Frankenstein or the Creature from the Black Lagoon, when you get to watch those on 4K, they are just so beautiful. I think. I mean, it
oh,
sounds crazy to say a black and white movie is beautiful, but I think they just look so good.
oh man, me too. I'm right there with you. That's where 4K shines to
Yeah.
me. That's where it makes it the like coolest showcase item, especially if you're showing it to somebody who's seen the movie in its
Right.
original quality, like on a streaming service or something, where you get to show them a 4K, like Dracula and Frankenstein and the Creature from the Black Lagoon, especially. That one
Yeah.
looks really freaking gorgeous on 4K. It's like, holy crap. But
Well, and
yeah,
I had
I
forgot
live.
about it because I just watched I watched Dracula again not that long ago on my 4K, and then I watched this again this morning. I mean, I've seen this movie. I couldn't even tell you how many times, but I watched it again this morning since we were going
Yep,
to be talking about it.
me
And
too.
I think both times when I watched Dracula a while back and when I watched Psycho this morning, I think I forget every time until I start watching it just how good they look on this 4K.
I know it impresses you. As soon as it fires up and the opening credits hit on
Yeah.
Psycho, I already got like the frickin' Anthony Perkins grin going. Like,
Yeah, it's so good.
I know.
Well, I feel like everybody, I mean, probably anyone that's watching my channel has seen Psycho and knows about it. But just in case there is somebody else out there, kind of like Sam, that hasn't seen this movie, I'm
Yeah,
going to
we'll
go
sell it on
through.
her again. We'll see if.
That's right. I'll go through a few things about it here, real quick. Quick overview from the film is just basically when larcenous real estate clerk Marion Crane goes on the lam with a wad of cash in hopes of starting a new life, she ends up at the notorious Bates Motel, where manager Norman Bates cares for his housebound mother. Film was released. It was actually had its premiere June 16th of 1960 in New York, and then released in theaters September 8th of 1960. Directed, of course, by Alfred Hitchcock. Screenplay by Joseph Stefano, based on the novel Psycho by Robert Bloch. Real quick, are you a reader, Beau? Do you like to read?
um, when I get in the mood, I do, but it's
Okay,
not very often.
got it.
I'm mostly a comic book, like graphic novel reader.
Okay.
Done thousands of those, but I've done a few pretty thick novels in my life.
Have you read this?
I have not.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Honestly, I haven't either. And it just kind of hit me this morning that I would like to go back and try to get a copy of this and read this because I'm curious about the differences. I have seen or heard and read a little bit that there are some quite a few differences in the book compared to the movie, and I just kind of want to know what they are.
Yeah, me
Um,
too. Actually, I've never even considered that. So I'm gonna write that down in my thing here to buy the book.
yeah, because one of the things I saw on it was how different the character of Norman is. Apparently, in the book, he's overweight and an alcoholic. And a
Huh?
few other things. And Hitchcock purposely took some of that stuff out because in the book he's not likable at all. And even the alcoholism could almost people could take that as contributing to the issues that he has with mother. And so
Yeah,
he wanted that out because he wanted the character to come across as somewhat likable. And he also didn't want it to be able to be blamed though on something like alcohol or something like that. So he took those things
yeah.
out specifically. Yeah.
That those are good decisions because it making them likable. It created so many horror tropes to come in the future, right?
Right.
Like the series, you like the killers. Like
Yeah.
this movie kind of invented that, which thank God he did. 'Cause we might
Yeah.
not
I
even
completely
gotten all
agree.
the Friday like Jason and Michael
Oh,
Myers.
I don't. Yeah, I completely agree. 100%. There's a. I hear sometimes because I'm such a slasher guy. I always listen to what people say and read different things about what really was the first slasher. And so many times, I think I hear this more than anything else. Now, occasionally I hear Peeping Tom
Yep.
and a few other things like that, but I think I typically hear Psycho. And I just did a episode on Peeping Tom, and I was able to find kind of the reasons in doing some research on that movie. I found an article by a person that was I don't even know what their title was, but they were very big on cinema history, and they pointed out five things that made Peeping Tom and Psycho the beginning of slasher films. And I hadn't planned on mentioning those, but I'm going to go ahead and mention them again here real quick, just because you're
Yeah.
on here, because I want your take on this, if you don't mind.
Yep.
So,
I've seen Peeping Tom as well.
yeah, well, this was a first time watch for me. When I watched it a while back and recorded on it, I had never seen it before. So, interesting movie.
It is.
It's
It is.
interesting. Yeah. So, but yeah, the five things that this person says are what causes these two films to be the beginning of slasher films is one, you have a human killer who is a psychotic product of a sick family. Two, victims are normally beautiful, sexually active women. Three, the weapon is something other than a gun. Four, the location of the murder is typically not in their home, but somewhere else. And then five, the attacks often come from the victim's point of view, come very suddenly and very shocking. This person felt like Peeping Tom and Psycho started those five things, which is what has carried into so many slashers that we see.
Pretty much all of them. Yep.
Yeah, I feel like it makes a pretty good point, honestly, because when I was reading that list, I was immediately kind of comparing stuff to, oh yeah, that sounds like Texas Chainsaw. Oh yeah, that sounds like Friday the 13th. And so yeah, I
Yep.
can really see where these two are the beginning of that.
Totally. Like every single one of those directors that did that, obviously they idolized Alfred Hitchcock,
Yeah,
Toby Hooper and all these people. It's obviously their favorite director because they looked at Psycho and they just started adding little pieces to it. Like
yeah,
even this, like we'll get into it in a couple minutes, but for a basic level, like Marion Crane herself is technically doing some bad things at the beginning by
right,
having sex and
right.
stealing money, and then she gets whacked, which
Yeah.
is like you. That's that's the storyline for every single slasher
Yeah.
ever.
No,
So
you're exactly right. Hitchcock also produced the film. Oh, one more thing on the book that I read as well that I don't see how he possibly pulled this off, but maybe in 1960 it was easier. So when Hitchcock got ready to do this movie, he had his people go out and basically buy every copy of the novel they possibly could to get it off the shelves, because he did not want, for anybody that hadn't already read the book, he did not want certain things to be spoiled. So he
yes,
was trying to keep anyone from getting their hands on this book. I just thought that was funny.
I know. Yeah, that was in the special features as well on
Yeah.
the 4K disc. I seen that, and that was actually pretty comical. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I thought so
makes
too.
sense. Makes sense
Yeah.
because yeah, you don't want your movie spoiled back then. There's no internet, so the only way is to read the book.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Cinematography was done by John Russell, music by Bernard Herrmann, distributed by Paramount Pictures, a runtime of 109 minutes, budget of 806,000 and a box office of 50 million, so an incredibly successful film.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, critic scores on Rotten Tomatoes is 97%. The audience is 95%. It's got an IMDb rating of 8.5 out of 10. Cast, just a few names here, real quick: Anthony Perkins, Vera Miles, John Gavin, Martin Balsam, John McIntyre, and Janet Leigh. Let's talk about the cast for a minute before we go any further. I want to talk about the cast and kind of the characters a little bit. And so, the first thing I want to say is I feel like everybody does a good job in this film. I don't think anybody gives a bad performance, everyone does well.
Yep.
But
Agreed.
Anthony Perkins' performance is just absolutely amazing, in my opinion. He is incredible in this movie.
Right there with you. As soon as I just finished watching this maybe 10 minutes before we started recording, and I am like in anticipation for him to finally appear. Like because
Yeah,
it's quite a bit of build up before you get to him,
right.
and I'm just like sitting there like, come on, I can't wait for this guy's acting. And that's solid stuff every time, man. When he
Yeah,
comes on screen, every time he speaks, I want more. Like my if I had a complaint, it would be that I don't get enough of him.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
it.
he's no, I'm with you. He's so incredible on this. It kind of reminds me a little bit, because I've said before, you've heard me say it. I know other people have heard me say it as well. I have a hard time imagining anybody else playing Freddy Krueger other than Robert England. That's part of the reason I
Oh,
struggle with the Elm Street remake. I have
100%.
a hard time imagining anybody else doing the voice of Chucky other than Brad Dourif.
She
Um,
exactly.
and I can't fathom anybody else being Norman Bates other than Anthony Perkins.
It's true. It's true. I know. I attempted to watch the TV show that they put out, and I actually have it, the complete series, and I didn't even get through season one because I'm just when I'm watching it, I'm just like this. It's probably going to be really good, but I just want to see fucking young Anthony Perkins.
Yeah, yeah.
It
You talking about the
sucks.
Bates Motel? Is that the one you're talking
Yes,
about?
Bates Motel. Yes.
Yeah, I managed to get through it. I did watch all of that, and it's not bad. I'll give it some credit. It's really not bad, but it's just not the same either. It just doesn't feel the same, especially as they get into some of the stuff that we see happen in the movie, and they start going through some of that. It's just nowhere near the same at
Yeah.
all. But for what it is, it's still not a bad show, and I
Yep.
would rather watch it than that remake that came out in 1990.
Oh man, don't even get me started on that. That even Vince Vaughn at the end of that movie when he tries to do the smile, it's like, what are you doing? Like
Yeah,
freaking
and Vince Vaughn's not a bad actor. I mean, he's
no,
fine, but it's
I
just
like
he's
Vince
not
Vaughn.
Norman Bates.
No, and yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not a huge fan of shot by shot remakes anyway.
Yeah,
Because usually I'll just watch the original movie. Like if it's so good that it deserves a shot by shot remake, then why not just watch the original one? Like fuck the
no,
remake.
I'm completely with you. And since we're talking about that, I'm going to go ahead and ask you this now. I was going to wait and ask you this at the end, but since we started this, I'm going to go ahead and ask you now.
Sure.
Um, some movies, I don't know. It's so tough because some movies I don't think need remakes. Like you just don't need to go back and try to do that again. I feel that way. I've heard so many people talk about will there ever be like a Jaws remake, and I'm like, please no. Like we don't need to
Oh,
remake Jaws. We really
that
don't.
that would be an absolute disaster.
Yeah, but at this so Psycho. It's tough for me because for the most part I'm like we don't need a remake on Psycho either. It's just so amazing. We don't need to redo that.
Yep, I
But that
agree.
being said, would you like to see more somehow from a Psycho franchise? Like right now, people are excited about the Crystal Lake TV show because they want something more of Jason. We haven't
Yes.
had anything Freddy related in a long time. So, would you like to see somebody do something to continue the Psycho franchise, or do you think it just needs to be left alone?
Um, that's a tough question. I it's hard to be like I'm done with a franchise and I don't ever want to
Right.
see it. Like with Nightmare on Elm Street, honestly, I want to see endless amounts and I want the franchise to live on for another 100 years or more.
Yeah.
But will I care that much if they do put something out? Probably not because it's not Robert Englund and
Yeah.
he's kind of the reason why I'm showing up. So
Right.
it's really hard. It's tough. And with Psycho, I'm gonna go out here too and say that I actually really enjoy all the sequels to this movie that he's in.
Right.
Um, and I think that I'm probably good. Like I've watched this one. This watch had to have been at least 30 times probably in my life.
Oh yeah, I'm with you.
So I'm guessing that I'm probably good. I probably don't need more Psycho
Yeah.
because I barely even get to the sequels. Like I'll give
Right.
them a rewatch like maybe once every few years or something. I'll go through them all, but more of him, I don't know. I'm probably good,
Yeah. I
but
I
not
think
gonna
so
complain.
too. I mean, in some ways, I wish someone could do something with the franchise because I feel like, especially the newer generation, I feel like they're missing something if they don't know about Norman Bates,
That's a
because
100% true. That argument can be
it's
made.
like you said, in my opinion, if we'd have never got this Norman Bates, then we probably wouldn't have got Jason and Michael and Freddy and all of this other stuff. Leatherface. We wouldn't have got any of that. So I I wish the newer generation was more familiar with Norman Bates. And if it took doing something new to bring attention, then okay, maybe that's all right. But at the same time, I don't feel like I just don't feel like anybody can do justice to this.
Yeah,
And so for me, it's almost like, man, I wish the new generation could get into
experience.
Psycho somehow, but uh, I don't
It.
want to see somebody else trying to play Norman, so I'll just keep going back and watching these old ones myself.
I know. It sucks being old.
It
Honestly,
does.
it makes you feel like you have knowledge you want to share, but you have nobody to share it with. It,
Exactly. Yes.
it's it's uh it It really does. I have that feeling all the time. I'll be watching random old movies and I'm just like, man, like my own kids won't experience the feelings that I felt when watching this. How could I recreate it? And I
Yeah,
don't really think it's possible.
right.
Like it it's not. Like they just have to have their own movies. Unfortunately, they don't come out like these ones anymore,
That's
in
true.
my opinion. But I don't know. Hopefully, they can create some new Norman Bates characters that people love, like 50 years from now.
Right.
And actually, what this movie's like, we're in
I know.
75 now.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I'm the same way. I mean, I have managed to get of course my kids are older than yours, but I mean my kids are they know Jason, they know Freddie, they know Michael, they know all that stuff, but I don't think they know Norman, and I just don't know how to get them to go back that far.
yeah. And even if they did, I don't
It's
know. I
probably not
think
going to have the same impact. I don't know. It might though. It might because it's so good. Like I said, I told you, I had a friend that I think we were talking about. I don't remember if I'd started recording yet or not when we were talking about this, but I have a friend who doesn't like black and white films, and while they like horror, they're just not big on slashers. But I finally got them to watch this, and they absolutely loved it. And then, like, I talked to them a couple of days later, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And like, "Oh, I'm watching Psycho 2. I had to go see the second one." And then a couple of
yeah.
days later, it was like, "I'm watching Psycho 3," and I'm like, "All right, this is pretty cool that you got into this." So, yeah, I mean,
Yep.
maybe
Yeah,
people just need
it
to give it
does
a
happen.
chance.
It
Yeah,
depends on the person. Each person is different. And yeah, I think if a movie's good enough, and I'm also of the belief, like, I'm always like, if I haven't seen a movie, me and my wife have been in this argument a few times because she's very modern in that sense, where the new thing is always the best thing kind of attitude.
right.
Like, not a huge fan of watching older movies. And so I got in an argument with her a few weeks ago, actually, where I'm like, you do realize if a movie, if you've never seen it, it's new. Like, you know
Good
what I
point.
mean? Like, if you haven't
Yeah,
seen the movie, then it's a brand new movie. Who cares about what year it comes out? Like,
right.
so just give it a chance, just like you would to, you know how many movies we watch in a year in this house? And over half of them are movies I'll never turn on again because they were shit.
Right.
So if you're going to give all those movies a chance, why not go back and give the ones that everybody thinks are freaking good a chance? And
Yeah.
so she started, like, she went back and watched the original Invisible Man with me. 5 out of
Okay.
5 she gives it.
Yeah.
So
Very
it's
good
and
film.
every one she's been watching Psycho. It's like they're all she's not giving any of them under a 4 out of 5 at this point. And I'm like,
Right.
I told you, see, like these are all freaking excellent movies. So
Yeah.
it can be done. You just got to do a little bit of arguing and get through that part.
Yeah. You gotta get your point across.
Exactly.
A couple of other things. Just the movie was nominated for 4 Academy Awards. We've already talked about the franchise a little bit. Spawned 3 sequels, a remake, a made-for-TV spinoff, and then a TV series. I've never seen the made-for-TV spinoff. I've seen all the sequels. I've watched the Bates Motel series, and I saw the remake that came out. But apparently, there's a Psycho movie, and for some reason, I feel like it's called Bates Motel. There was a
I'm pretty
TV
sure
movie.
it's yeah, it's just Bates Motel, that
Yeah,
movie.
and I think it came out between maybe 3 and 4.
Yeah, it's somewhere like that. I haven't seen it either.
Okay, I was curious
Oh,
if you had seen it because I haven't seen that one, and Anthony Perkins is not in that one.
nope,
Um,
that one is not him. I know that.
yeah, I think from what I saw, I believe it tries to almost go back to more of some time with Norman in a mental facility before getting out and going uh, back to the Bates Motel. But I
Huh.
don't know. I've never watched it just because it's not Anthony Perkins, and it's really not part of the. I mean, it's got the name, but it's not part of the franchise really either. So I mean, I've
Yeah,
never seen it. Yeah,
and number 4 does a good job anyway at going back and showing his history
yeah, I agree.
when he was younger.
Let's see. The book was loosely inspired by the case of real life killer Ed Gein, which actually I feel like a lot of slashers are
what
inspired by Ed
what
Gein.
one
Yeah,
wasn't, to be honest
yeah,
with
exactly. Um,
you. Thank God
Paramount.
that guy existed. Apparently,
Oh, I'm
not
telling you.
not to
Yeah,
his victims, but holy crap! You know how
I
many
know.
movies we wouldn't have?
I'm telling you. And what's funny is, um, and I didn't know that till this time, as I was just trying to find something extra about this movie that maybe I hadn't said before. from what I read, Ed Gein was actually only convicted of killing two people.
Yes, yeah. Everything
Yeah.
else is brutal. But with that said, he in his house he did have like insane amounts of
Yes.
stuff. Like his curtains were made out of skin. He had
Right.
like jaws for ashtrays. Like, and if
Yeah.
they added up the bodies, it had to have been way way more. They just couldn't find any evidence.
Yeah. To do any of that, but interesting.
Yeah,
Paramount initially rejected Hitchcock doing this film. But when he offered to film quickly, film in black and white, and finance the project himself, they accepted the deal. Only other thing that I wanted to mention is Hitchcock also put in place at the theaters a no late admission policy. He did not want anybody to get to the theater late and miss the Marion Crane story. So he had it set that at the theaters, as this movie was played, if they weren't there when it started, they couldn't come in.
yeah. Doors closed.
Yeah, which I thought was interesting as well.
Yeah, he was a real stickler for his
Yeah,
details. I he made sure he did everything exactly the way he wants it, or else
yeah, which it works. I mean, it works
it
great.
truly does. Like
Yeah,
a lot of people. There's a lot of hate on Hitchcock because he was so hard on his actors and pushed them. He would reshoot scenes like 60, 70 times,
yeah,
and it's like I get it. Like it would suck to have to go through that, but I mean, you can't argue with the finished product in these cases. Like
right.
I know I mean, go act in movies that aren't the greatest movies of all time. Then you know if you're gonna
Exactly.
whine about it.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, we will get into the plot and start kind of going through this a little bit. Again, I won't mention everything. There are just a few things that I want to point out and kind of get your opinion about. Some of it we may have already talked about briefly, but the opening to this film, we get Marion and Sam in the hotel, and we find out that they're kind of having a fling there, and we also see that Marion's getting very frustrated because she's wanting them to be more open, whereas he's trying to keep everything in private. And I feel like this is a good introduction to the characters and a good opening because I think it begins to show us, as you mentioned, Marion. She doesn't do some good things here. Like she does a lot of bad things in the
Yep.
opening of this movie. But I think this opening also it kind of shows the desperation that's overtaking her because she wants this relationship with this guy so bad,
Yeah.
and it's just eating her up. Which is not. I'm not saying that's a good excuse to do the things that she does, but I don't know. Even though she makes some very poor decisions, I feel like they make her very likable with this introduction. Like you still find
Totally. Yes.
yourself rooting for her.
Because she wants to, and we're gonna get to what she actually thinks in her mind later.
Yeah,
But yes, it really does show you that if the guy was choosing to actually be with her, she might not have done these things that are
right.
coming up. So, but because she's stuck between a rock and a hard place, she makes the wrong one.
Yeah,
Technically, it's only wrong because she gets fucking butchered.
it's true. Yeah, this is true. And another thing I'll say here real quick as well that I didn't mention. I absolutely love. A lot of times, a score for a movie doesn't really mean much to me. There are a few exceptions out there where Halloween, of course, Jaws. I mean, there's some scores like that that do get your attention, but a lot of times, a score just doesn't jump out to me in a movie. It does in this one. I love the score. I love the opening in this film when that music's playing and you're just getting credits and things. But I don't know.
Yeah,
I really like the score.
it's catchy as shit. Even though
Yeah.
it's not lyrics and stuff, it's just sounds, and it grabs you right at the beginning, and he uses it all in the right places throughout the movie.
Yes.
We'll get to, and yeah, I love it too. Score's perfect for me.
Yep, I agree. And like we said, I think it sounds even better on the 4K. We talked about that a little bit, but the 4K does so great with this movie on the sound.
Oh yes, excellent. I can't recommend it enough. Actually,
Yeah, no,
it's
I'm
perfect.
100% with you. And it just kind of gets us a good setup because then we get into kind of what we've been talking about. We get into uh, Marion making this poor decision and ends up taking the money, and you can see her struggling with it because even when we're seeing her, once she's got the money and she's left her job and she's at home, you see her like she's kind of getting dressed and getting stuff together, but she just keeps looking at the money, and then she goes back to do, and then she's looking at the money again. You could tell she's wrestling with it, like she's
Oh yeah.
struggling, trying to. It's almost like she knows she's not doing the right thing, and she's fighting it, but yet she keeps doing it anyway. So yeah,
Yeah, and that's another thing. Hitchcock's great at like making you like feel what the person's thinking. Obviously,
yes,
that's what everything you're saying and everything that's going to be coming for the next 20 minutes of the movie is all just in her mind, basically,
right.
and letting you know that she is guilty. Like she feels like shit for what she's doing.
Right. Yeah, she's already feeling bad for it. And so then, of course, she takes the money. She takes off. The only thing, and it doesn't deter me from liking the film, but I'm curious on your take here. The only thing that bothers me at all with this beginning is once she's driving away and we get the cop. And he comes up to her on the side of the road initially where she's sleeping in the car, and they have a little bit of a discussion, and then he follows her and she goes to get a new car, and he's sitting across the street watching her. Before she ever pulls away, he's pulled up into this dealership as well. um, I don't know, something about this, again, it doesn't make me not like the film, and it's not even that I don't like the scenes, but I have questions because it doesn't make
Like how
this part
suspicious
doesn't make a
are
lot
they?
of, yeah, like, if he's that suspicious, and maybe it was different in 1960, but I don't see cops today, if they're that suspicious, just letting it happen. They're not just gonna,
Yes.
I'm just like, this is not making sense to me for some reason. I mean, it's fine. I'm still enjoying it, and it's kind of adding to the suspense because if you've never seen the film before, you don't know what's about to happen. Is the cop going to end up,
Yes.
getting involved and taking her and finding out she's got the money, that kind of thing. But I don't know. At the same time, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. This scene. Do you feel the same way?
I do. Like it is. It does feel like they're just putting it in there because they have to build some suspense. At the same time, you can take it another way as well. And I actually had this conversation a couple hours ago, and with my wife, and maybe he was trying to get across a message that they do a lot in modern films today, and that's to show like how when you're a woman everyone is suspicious of her. Like just the fact that there's a woman driving alone in a car.
Right.
Like you know what I mean? It's hard. I didn't grow up in 1960, so I don't know. But
Yeah.
I'm assuming that men did a lot for their wives back then, and the women didn't really do a whole lot. So seeing a woman driving alone in a car on a highway might be suspicious in itself. You know, what I mean, it
No,
might
that's a
be
good
enough
point.
for a cop.
I
I
hadn't
don't
thought
know.
about that, and the way you're putting that, because I feel like you're probably right. I mean, I wasn't born in 1960 either. Close. I was born in the early 70s, so it wasn't too far off. But I do feel like back in those time frame, women mostly were at home, right? I mean, they were just
That's
taking care of
yes,
the home and the kids and that kind of thing. So not only just seeing a woman out driving this car by herself, but making a purchase, buying a vehicle like that,
yes, with
probably,
$700. By the way,
yeah.
I looked that up, and that is 8,000 today.
Oh wow.
So she
Okay.
had 8 grand in her pocket and handed it to the
Yeah.
car dealer. And that being a single woman by herself, it's probably pretty suspicious.
Okay.
Even in today's world, it'd be kind of suspicious if I just walked into somewhere and handed them 8 grand.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Okay.
maybe it's just that. I don't know, but it's
Right.
also it could have just been I need to build some suspense, and I'm just putting
Right.
too much to it, right?
Maybe, but honestly, that does make a lot of sense because I hadn't thought about that, and that kind of helps me. Thinking about it that way helps me get past the awkwardness of that a little bit. So that does make a lot of sense to me. I like that, but
Yeah, that's all I could really come up with.
yeah, no,
And I never
I
thought
think it
about
makes
that
sense.
either before
Yeah.
this watch. Like I when I was watching, I was thinking the same thing that you brought up. Like it's weird, all these people. Like every guy is so suspicious of her on this
Yeah.
little journey. And then I
Right.
thought, well, maybe it's because she's a woman by herself, and like it was probably would have been a suspicious thing to be doing back then. And then
Yeah.
it also brings in the factor of how rough it is to be a woman back then. You can't
Right.
even go for a fucking little drive down the highway, and everybody's like, "What are you doing?"
Right.
Like, creepy.
No, that's true. That's a good point. So yeah, and I also think it almost helps us at the same time. Now that we're talking about that, because again, we know that Marion's made some bad decisions here, but I think watching this cop like almost stalking her to a certain degree, but just keeping an eye on her and how suspicious he is of her. Even the way the guy at the dealership keeps questioning, what she's doing. I think we're also feeling more for her as well, her character. Because even though, like I said, she's done some bad things, but we really like her. And the more that she's going through, even this little stuff before she ever gets to the hotel, it's just making us. It's building suspense, but it's also making us like this character more.
Yes, perfectly. To be honest, for what's
Yeah,
to come,
right.
because it's like how more genius is that, especially for that time. Like you are just building up, like you're saying, the like levels of this character and interest levels as
Right.
well, where you're just like, where is this movie going? Like, you know what I would give to have been a frickin' person that could sit in the movie theater and watch people experience
Oh,
this?
I know.
Like,
I think about stuff like that sometimes. You were, we talked about this a little bit earlier, just like having that experience. And uh, that's one I wish I could go back and have seen this movie when it first came out in theaters.
oh
Just
man,
yeah, that would have been amazing.
for some of the parts coming,
Yeah.
I bet you people like just to, I would it'd be epic. It'd be like what a highlight of my life if I just got to sit at the top of a movie theater and watch someone experience these movies in their timeline.
Right.
Obviously, in our day, who cares? But
Yeah.
in their timeline, people would have been screaming probably at some of the shit coming. It's like, God, that would have been so cool to see.
Yeah, I completely agree. And then Marion finally she arrives at the Bates Motel. It's storming. It's late at night, so she ends up deciding to pull over and stay in a motel. Possibly even because that's one thing that the cop had mentioned to her before. Why didn't you stay at a hotel rather than on the side of the road? So this time she decides to stay at this motel, and we get the introduction to Norman Bates. And we've talked about this a little bit already, but again, Anthony Perkins' performance as Norman is just so incredible, and I really like the dialogue that goes on between Norman and Marion because I feel like you see their characters remind me of each other a little bit in some ways. Marion, we know that she's done some bad things, but she's been developed and we still like her. Norman comes across as such an innocent, good, likable guy. But at
Yep.
times you see there's still something off. Like you can just
Oh
see a
yeah.
little bit in the facial expressions, in the eyes, and the way he says some things. You're like, something's not right with this guy. But at the same time,
Yep.
you like him. And so I think these characters mirror each other like that. That something's wrong, but they're still so damn likable.
Totally. I agree. It'd be like they both, especially Anthony Perkins. They just look like somebody you want to talk to.
Yeah,
Like I would love to be in that room having a conversation with these two people. Like this woman that just did this crazy stuff, and now this guy that's like super socially awkward,
yeah,
which most of us are, but he's on a
sure,
different level.
right,
And like I don't know, it'd be so cool. But yeah, he's super likable the moment he steps on camera. I
yeah,
I don't know, just his innocence, I guess, is what you're
right.
saying. He just
Yeah,
looks
I
innocent.
agree. So I love this scene. I mean, watching this a lot of times, and again, this maybe is a little bit different because I've seen this movie so many times. But when I do these reviews, even if I've seen the movie before and I already have, a pretty good idea of what I think about it, I try not to rate it until I start talking about it. Very seldom do I have my rating decided before I start talking about it on my channel with my guest or by myself or whatever, because I want to be able to hear the other person's opinion. I want to be able to talk some things through, and then I can kind of get a better rating. But this one, and again, maybe it's because I've seen it so many times, but just sitting there watching that scene this morning where they're just talking, about what she's doing, and he's wanting to make her a sandwich. I mean, just watching them have
Basic
normal,
conversational
yeah,
stuff.
basic casual conversation. I'm sitting there and I'm like, this movie's so fucking good. I already know what I'm rating this movie. Nothing's
That's
even happened yet, but I already know what I'm rating
I
this
know.
movie.
I know to some people it'd be boring as fuck up to this point.
Yeah.
Like nothing's happening in this. And but yeah, at that point I'm already like sitting at a 5. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh man,
No,
more and more.
I'm with you. And I guess I do. I mean, I can see in some ways how people might find this film boring, but I think the storytelling is so good The setup is really good, and both Anthony Perkins and Janet Leigh here do such an amazing job. I keep saying especially Anthony Perkins because I he's fucking fantastic in this movie, but Janet Leigh does a really good job as well. And
Excellent.
yeah, so I think their performances. I mean, again, it just the way Hitchcock does this, the way the movie looks, just how beautiful it is, the performances by these characters. Boring never even slightly crosses my mind.
Oh
Like
no, no.
I'm 100% hooked.
Yeah, me too. Like I was watching this right before we started, and it's also my supper time, so I was cooking in the kitchen, and luckily I can see the TV, and I had to keep stopping cooking and coming out to watch like parts that I know I'm about to
Yeah.
miss, and I'm just like, oh man. But yeah, part I'm right there with you on this.
Yeah, well, and you say that. So typically, if I've seen a movie, it doesn't matter how many times I've seen a movie. If I'm going to review it, I go back and watch it again. But if I've seen it multiple times and I decide I want to step out and have a smoke, or I've got to run to the bathroom or whatever, I'll just keep letting it play. I mean, because I'm
Yep,
like, I've
me
seen
too.
this, I know what's going to happen. I'm okay if I
That's
miss a couple of
what I
seconds.
thought I was doing
But
with it.
with this one, I pause it. I'm like, no, I don't want to miss
It's
a second of
it's
this
true.
movie.
Like I could
Yeah.
see the TV, but it wasn't close enough. So I'm literally put down my knife because I was chopping up some veggies, and I come out and now I'm stuck here for 5 minutes because I
Right.
didn't have time to pause it. I started it with the exact amount of time to come onto your episode, so it's
Got
like,
it.
okay, I'm not pausing it.
That's
But
so funny.
yeah,
Um, and then, of course, as Norman goes to make the sandwich, goes back up to the house, we hear Norman and his mother having this conversation. And, we mentioned this before. I've always, for the most part, known the conversation. But again, this is where I'll just mention how great the 4K is because I feel like I hear this conversation so much better on the 4K. Mother's voice stands out so much more.
yes,
Um, and I think a perfect example of that. So while I was watching this today, I ended up getting a phone call, and I couldn't reach the remote, or I would have paused it while I was on the phone. But I only thought the call was going to last a few minutes, so I'm on the phone talking during this part, and the person that I was on the phone with says, "Are you watching Psycho?" And I was like, "Yeah, can you hear it?" And they're like, "I hear Mother." And I'm like, "Yeah,
oh wow,
that's that's what." But I think, if I'd have been watching the DVD or the Blu-ray, I don't think they would have heard it. To be completely honest with you.
no, that's
Yeah,
really faded, and you have to like kind of stick your ear right to the speaker to hear that one, but. But
yeah,
yeah, on this 4K, they highlight it. Like it sounds uh, like it actually catches me off a little bit because she can hear him so clearly
right.
from the hotel room that it
Yeah,
feels like he must be fucking screaming
yeah,
that stuff
yeah.
up
Because
in
it
that
sounds
house.
like they're in the next room,
Yeah,
not like in another house.
yeah, a
Yeah,
house way up the hill and in a
yeah,
rainstorm. Like but so he must be yelling pretty loud. But they obviously clean that up just so we could actually hear it without
right.
it having to strain your ear because
Yeah,
it does sound perfectly clear. You can hear every word out of his mouth, and it's loud. I like it.
yeah. And so then we get to he comes back down, she has a sandwich, they have some more conversation, and again, here I think is where you're starting to see a little bit more of Norman maybe being a little bit off, and it's because they're discussing his mother. He just doesn't. She suggests at one point maybe putting mother in a home, and you can tell that Norman does not like that idea at all. So you're starting to see some triggers here for him a little bit. But I still think you're still sympathizing with him because he still seems like such a good guy. And then we get one of the most famous scenes in not just horror movie but movie history is Marion goes back to her room and we have the shower scene.
Yeah,
Where and even here, I just thought about this today. I mean, I knew it was coming, but there's the scene where Norman's kind of watching through the wall. And I remember when I was seeing that today, I'm like, you know what? When he even went to get her key and decided to put her in the first cabin that he was calling it, there's a hesitation that I don't think I've ever noticed before until today. When
he
he turns
questioned her.
around to, yeah, like when he turns around to get her key, he's like paused for a minute because he almost grabs a couple of other ones, and then
Yep.
he ends up grabbing one. And I just never really, as many times as I've seen that movie, I never noticed that hesitation until
Yeah.
today for some
Yeah.
reason.
He's choosing
Uh,
whether he's gonna kill her
yeah,
before he
exactly.
even
Which is
lets her
again
in.
back to you know he's not a great guy. Like there's definitely some issues here, but he's still
Yep.
so damn likable. I mean, you know what's going on, but he's still so
Even
likable.
like they end the movie, yep, and he's super likable still.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
he's
I
a
just,
fucker.
and the shower. So I want to ask you about the shower scene because I still think, I think this holds up so good still
I
to this day.
totally
And
blows my mind.
I know we get so much more nowadays. I mean, we're living in a time frame where, yeah, not only have we gotten Jason, I mean, Jason's killed people in showers before,
Oh yeah.
Michael, we've had all of this stuff where we've seen so much more. And then nowadays, we've got like Art the Clown and all the shit that we see him do,
Oh
which
yeah.
is all fine. I mean, it's okay.
Yep.
I'm not complaining about seeing any of it. That's
Nope.
perfectly
Not
fine.
they
But
can't all be the greatest you've ever
uh,
seen it to be.
yeah, but
Ridiculous.
this still holds up so well, and I still think the fact that sometimes what you don't see is more chilling than what you do see.
It's
And I think that's the case with this film because we never actually see the knife penetrate any skin. We're
nope. They
just
only
seeing
the closest scene is a shot of her belly, and
right,
the knife is touching her belly but not going into it.
right. And
That's
so we're
the
not
closest you
seeing
get.
any of that. We're just seeing the knife movement. We're seeing her
The
reactions,
sound
which
too, by the
again,
way.
she's doing a fantastic performance from her
Yep.
here again. And I think this scene looks so good. I think it holds up so well. Um,
The
Yeah,
sound too on that scene,
yeah,
like
the
the knife,
sound is
the sound
amazing.
of the
Yeah.
knife going in.
Oh, yeah,
Kayla
it's
was
creepy.
listening to it and she goes, "Ooh," because it actually like it sounds like he was stabbing a knife into flesh or something.
Right.
Make that sound effect. It's pretty brutal, and
It really is. It's
I
still a
I
chilling
honestly would
scene.
argue that this is one of the greatest scenes I've ever seen in a movie, and that's not just from like, ooh, I love to see someone get butchered in a horror movie. I just mean like just the shots, the way that it's filmed. Like there's no nudity, but there almost is.
Right.
Like it's leaving you with like even that's very suspenseful. Where like you want to see a boob fall out. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
Janet Leigh's so freaking attractive. For
Yeah.
and but you just they won't give you that even because it's
Yeah.
1960. But
Right.
he comes close though. It's like
Yeah.
it's right there.
Yeah. It's done so well. The scene again, another beautiful scene, and still, I mean, I'm not gonna say it's scary because it doesn't scare me, but at the
Nope.
same time, it's still just chilling. It's such because of the sound that you were talking about, listening to uh, the knife go into her reactions, her performance, just everything about it is so good. Yeah, it's still just such an amazing thing. A scene. I think it holds up so incredibly well.
And the just the obvious that they're killing your main character halfway through the movie as well, which
Right.
is insane. Like
It really
I've
is.
I can't name another movie before that that did that, anything even close to that. And I've seen a lot of old movies.
Right.
There might have been some, but they're definitely like deep cuts of
Yeah.
movies that I have never heard of.
Well, and we talked about how Hitchcock wanted every copy of this book that was out there purchased. Like he wanted it off the shelves because he didn't want anything spoiled. And when I was looking into that a little bit today, and like you said, they mention it on the special features and stuff. But when I was doing some digging into that, apparently she's only in the Marianne character is only in 2 chapters of the book. And that was
Okay.
another reason why he wanted it off the shelf because if you read the book or if you knew she wasn't going to be in there for long, so he
Yes.
wanted that off. He did not want people to have any idea that she was dying halfway through the movie.
Yes. That's genius because even if he killed her sooner, like to have that ruin back then, it's one of your big things. So I could
Right.
understand spending the money, convincing Universal to put money into buying all these books, which is probably what he did.
Yeah.
It was probably a no brainer for them. They were like, yeah, of course, we don't want that ruined because we
Right.
can't wait. And I love to be in his position too because you can almost feel the child in him.
Yeah.
Like he's like, I just want to blow somebody's mind. You know what I mean? And he's
Right.
like, I'll buy every fucking book in the world so that I can blow one theater's mind that
Yeah.
gets to watch this. Because
That's true. Yeah, it's so good. And then of course, as the mother character disappears, And then we hear again Norman, in the house, and he's freaking out because he's seen the blood, and mother, what have you done? And again, I just think that Perkins's performance is fantastic when he comes back in now to the room as Norman, and he sees this. He covers his mouth at one point like he's going to throw up, and then he has to go through all of this cleanup. Um, I heard one other podcast talking about this, and I thought they hit it right on the nose because they were talking about because now all we're really getting here for several minutes is Norman cleaning up this scene.
It's long.
Yeah, it's a pretty long scene of him. He's mopping, he's wrapped the body up in a shower curtain and taking it out to the car, and he's trying to gather up all these things. It's a pretty long scene of his cleanup, and then him even taking the car to where he's going to dispose of it. But this person that did this podcast about this film, they commented, I loved every second of it because Anthony Perkins is just so mesmerizing.
Yeah, just
That
watching him
even though
do
he's
it.
not doing anything but cleaning a hotel room, it's still I would have watched 10 minutes more of it. Like I mean, it's just so good.
It's
And
wild, actually.
yeah, and again, that's just. I mean, we keep saying it, I know, but that's just Perkins's performance, just so incredible.
Yep, it's what happens when you hit gold in your
Yeah,
cast. Like Perkins was a widely unknown actor at this point,
right.
and like it's crazy to just find somebody like that, and they're just instantly awesome. It's
Yeah. Well, and it's
amazing.
funny too because I remember I had an aunt that loved horror movies, and but she watched. Of course, this is when I was a kid, so it was obviously older stuff. But a lot of what she watched was the Universal monsters and Psycho. Like she watched a lot of that kind of stuff, and I remember as a kid even seeing part of Psycho with her, and then sometime later, I think it was my uncle that was watching. It's a movie about I want to say it's about the singer Hank Williams, if I remember correctly. And Anthony Perkins plays Hank Williams in this movie. If I'm remembering, I think it was Hank Williams. But I see him on the screen, and I remember turning to my aunt and being like, "Isn't that the Psycho guy?" I mean, even as a little kid, I was like, "I
Yeah.
remember he's the Psycho guy. Like he's not this singer."
Yeah, it haunted him too. I have seen
Yeah,
interviews with him late in his life before he passed away, and Psycho haunted him his whole life because he's always Norman Bates. Every movie
yeah,
you're in, right? People are expecting it, and you
right.
can't really do a whole lot other than just act like Norman Bates and everything.
Yeah, that's true. I just thought that was funny. So now, as we're about halfway through the film, we get Marion's sister Lila, and she's approached Sam because she's heard about what's happened. She's heard about the missing money. Her sister's missing, so she's very concerned, and she's gone to Sam. He doesn't know what's going on either. So like I said, we're getting this conversation with them of trying to figure this out, and the private investigator Arbogast shows up um, and kind of gives his theory. Again, good performances. I think again everybody does a good job in this film.
Yep.
If there's and again, I'm not saying I feel this way because I don't. If there's any part of a drop off at all, or if I had to pick a least favorite scene, it would be this. And the only reason I say that, the conversation is good. It makes sense. It's good that we kind of find out what the private investigator is doing and his involvement. Um, but after everything we've seen to this point, and the performance of Anthony Perkins and the performance of Janet Leigh, it's just not quite the same here.
Yes.
We've had so much greatness happen in the first half of this movie, so many
There's
amazing things that this is kind of like a
there's
okay,
a
can
bit
we
of a
get back
down
to
here,
that? Yeah.
100%, because you're coming off of the shower scene. You're coming off of all that intense suspense and build up of the first
Right.
half of the movie, basically,
Yeah.
and then you're stuck with just your basic police questioning for a
Right.
good 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah. And again,
It's
I watching it now, I still don't mind it. It's not like I sit there thinking, okay, can we get through this part? But at the same time, it's almost like that's the moment in the movie where you breathe for a minute because it's
yeah,
been so good, and now you're just kind of like, okay,
yeah. You need a downer for a second
yeah, yeah,
and
which
just
is fine. I
relax.
mean, that's probably a good idea, um, because again, it doesn't last long, and then we have Arbogast arriving at the hotel to question Norman, and again, another great dialogue here that goes on. Another fantastic job by Norman. You see that he's definitely rattled by
You,
the private investigator. Um,
he's
he
not
starts
good at lying.
stuttering. Yeah, he's not. He starts stuttering, which you didn't really hear that before. So now we see how nervous he is, how scared he is, and trying to play this off. And yeah, I think we get right back to it then, because even though there's not anything major happening here, again, just watching Norman's character start to deteriorate, start to fall apart, and really begin to struggle. It's just more setting up now the next act, the final act that's going to be coming in a little bit. This is kind of the beginning of setting that stage. And so again, I think it's just so well done.
Oh, me too. It's also great seeing him fall apart during lines of questioning from the PI as well, because he it really lets you know that, or makes you think that, okay, he's not the killer,
Right.
because he's not a good liar. And
Yeah.
most people that could go and murder somebody, they could obviously lie, like they're, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's making you think, okay, the mother is real.
Right.
At this point in the movie, if you were in 1960 and you didn't know everything,
Yeah.
they
You would think he
you
was
would
innocent.
still, yeah, you would still think that he's just trying to cover up what his horrible mother did.
Right.
So stuttering and stuff during lines of questioning, you're still an innocent man, and you're
Yeah.
just like, you're fucking up. So it kind of makes sense
Yeah,
for
he's
back then.
freaking out trying to protect his mother, doesn't want her caught, and now, he realizes that he stumbled, and now what do I do?
Yes.
So yeah, for anybody that, like you said, in 1960, I'm sure that's what people were thinking, is
Oh,
that
they would have
mother's the
never
bad
thought that.
guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
and anybody that, again, my friend that I mentioned that watched this for the first time and wasn't a fan of black and white, wasn't a fan of slashers. Um, I remember talking to them because when they watched it the first time, I watched it with them, and that's exactly what they were thinking. They 100% thought it's Norman's mother
Yeah.
that's doing
And
this,
that's
and
even in
Norm,
today's
yeah,
time where men
right,
and women, like, cross dressing is a normal thing. Back then, like, you would barely even have heard of that
right,
kind of stuff. So it wouldn't even have popped into your mind that there's a chance that this guy could be dressed up like a woman. Like, it wouldn't
right,
have popped into your mind.
yeah,
So
no,
to
not
even
at
trick
all.
people nowadays, that's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, I agree. And then, as Arbogast steps away, and he ends up calling Lila and going over some things with her, and then he goes back and he goes into the house, because he wants to try to. They're trying to figure all of this out. Uh, I also love his death scene. I think his scene looks so good, just the way. And I know there's a word for the way they shot that, and I'm drawing a blank on what
Yep,
that word is. But
me too.
as he's going up the steps, and then just kind of out of nowhere, the mother figure, comes out of her room and stabs him, and then he falls down the steps. And I really wish I could remember what that's called, but
I, I know
it it,
they
it
talk
looks
about it in the
so
special
good.
features, and I forget.
Yeah, exactly. But it looks so great. It's another incredible scene, and you know, it's done again. It's done so well. It's not scary, but just how quickly mother comes out of the room and is right there on him. I mean,
Yeah, just
it's
you don't even have a
yeah,
chance to react if you're him.
yeah,
And also the way it's shot, like, it might throw some people off because of the way he's going down the stairs.
right,
And then, but here's the thing though, it's so, like, I compare it to like modern day art house filmmaking, where they're trying to do something different, because most movies back then, you would have just showed a guy roll down the stairs. A
right,
stunt actor would have just fell down the stairs, and it probably would have showed him on the bottom. But to, like, show it in like a slow mo camera kind of following him down, it's just such great filmmaking. Like,
yeah. I completely agree.
it's why Hitchcock's name is so legendary, because of stuff like that. Like, just caring. You can feel the
Right,
care. Like, you could
yeah,
have just taken the easy way out and threw a dummy
right.
downstairs like most movies did back then.
Yeah,
But
they
he's
just
like,
put
nope.
so much detail into everything, and it's absolutely incredible. I can't imagine. We were talking about. I couldn't imagine anybody else being Norman Bates other than Anthony Perkins. I don't think anybody else could have done this film besides Hitchcock.
Not at
For it to
that time,
be,
definitely
yeah,
not. He is showing that he deserves to be at the top of the best directors of all time list, just with this filmmaking alone for this one movie. Take
right,
out the rest of his catalog, just this one movie is already enough to be, like, considered one of the all-time greats, especially from that period of
right.
time. nobody doing stuff like that. Really, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Um, no, I completely agree. And so then we kind of get back to Sam and Lila and them trying to figure things out because now that the private investigator is missing as well, um, they almost feel like maybe he's got some involvement, like he's gotten part of the money and taken off. You know, that
Yeah,
gets discussed at one point. And so,
hiding Marion in
eh,
the house, and they're
yeah,
having a secret sex affair. And
right. So there's, they're really having a hard time. Let me ask you this. So we've talked about how much we like Norman's character. We talked about how much we like Marion's character. How do you feel about Lila and Sam? I mean, they're supposed to be kind of your good guys here, right? They're the ones that are trying to figure all this out and put it together. Um, do
well,
you find yourselves rooting for them? Like, are you
I like Vera Miles here as Lila, his sister. I first off, I'll say the casting is awesome.
right?
Like her and Janet Leigh do really look like sisters,
Sure.
and I know they're decorating them up to help that look so, but they do look like they're sisters in the movie. It's believable,
Yeah.
and I like her. The guy, I don't hate him. I just don't really care.
Right.
And I know that he's like having an affair and he's just kind of a douchey dude. But but I mean, I don't really care at this point. I'm kind of just sucked in to them trying to piece this mystery together, especially when you're watching it after you already know the outcome, because now
Right.
you're just about watching these characters piece this story
Yeah.
together. But I'm not really rooting for them. I just, it's
Yeah.
cool seeing what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm with you there because again, you do enjoy seeing them try to piece it together and figure out what happened. And like we talked about, I don't think anybody does a bad job. Vera Miles does a great job. I don't find the Sam character likable, and I struggled with it already. We're going to get into something here in a minute that makes me struggle with it even more. I don't like Sam. I don't like this guy at all. And
Yeah,
so,
yeah, he's the douche.
yeah, he really is. And so, I think
He
not
looks like
liking
one too.
he really
Like
does.
they cast that might just be great casting.
Yeah,
He must have like, okay, we need this because for the time he's actually pretty ripped. This actor,
yeah,
like men back then, they didn't look wrestler muscles because steroids weren't a thing yet. So men look like normal men,
yeah,
and he is pretty ripped for that time. Like he's up
yeah.
there, Sean Connery level of how
Right.
thick he is. So
Yeah.
that alone makes it kind of douchey. Like you just don't look like all the rest of the men in this movie.
Yeah, I don't know. There was again, Lila's character's fine, and I do enjoy watching them try to piece this together. But again, I'm not saying that this makes me not like anything about the movie at all. That's not at all what I mean. I just it almost makes me root even more for Norman, even though I know he's the bad guy, because I'm not as sold on these characters that are now trying to pursue him. Uh,
Yeah.
the private investigator, that guy did a great job. I liked Norman better
Yep.
than the private investigator,
Yep.
and I like Norman better than Sam. I mean, it just so. But yeah, I mean, they still
True.
do a good job, and watching them try to piece it together is a lot of fun. Um, they go out to the hotel at one point, and that's when they see um, Mother in the window, and they're trying to kind of figure out what's going on, and then they end up going back and talking to the police, the sheriff, and they find out that Mrs. Bates has been dead for years, and so now it's even stirred up more for
Which is
them.
a
It's like,
good
okay,
scene too. When that
yes,
guy says that the mother's been dead for years, we buried her.
right,
That's when you can feel like it's funny because it gives me a little bit of a heart tingle, even though I'm not living in 1960.
right,
But I can just feel what the audience would have been feeling when that happened.
yeah, because they're like, well, wait, then who's doing this? Like, who really
Yeah,
is
like
killing
they
these
would have been
people?
completely confused. Like
Yeah,
what is going on here? And that's why he's the master of suspense.
yeah, absolutely. Again, I go back to the friend that watched this for the first time, and I was watching it with them when that sheriff mentioned that Mother, has been dead. That's exactly what my friend said. They're like, wait, what? They were
Yeah,
just so they had no idea what to think next because it's just the way it's all played out. So I think it's great. And then as Sam and Lila go back to the hotel to try to investigate and figure out what's going on now, since Mother is dead. because I think they're wondering if it was Marion in the window. Like they're still trying to figure out exactly what happened. Um, they try to do this ruse on Norman where Sam's going to go and question him and talk to him to distract him while Lila goes and investigates the house. And here's where I was talking about I do not like this Sam guy because, in my opinion, if he's trying to distract Norman and keep him not being suspicious of what's going on, this is the worst fucking job of
Yes,
that imaginable because he's
he
just such a complete dick.
he fails miserably because he pisses Norman off immediately. And
Yeah.
like, what are you doing? Like, you're supposed to be trying to have a normal conversation to try and keep him distracted, and
Yeah. And
you're
you're
coming
just
off
making
like a
it worse.
detective almost.
Yeah, and it's almost like he pushes Norman to suddenly ask, because Norman asks him like, "Where's that woman?" Like
Yep,
he pushed him to that. Like he's the
yep,
one that causes Norman to take off back to the house.
yep.
Actually,
It
so
wouldn't even have
yeah,
popped in his head if he was just acting normal.
yeah. So I just wanted to bring that up because that's really, again, great scene. I mean, I really enjoy the scene, but watching this scene, I'm not sitting there. I know what's happened. I know Norman's the killer at this, because I've seen this so many times. But I'm not sitting there watching this scene like, you know, with Sam, like against Norman. I'm like, man, I almost wish Norman had killed this fucking guy right here because this guy's getting on
Yeah,
my nerves.
I
Yeah,
know. Once in a while, when I'm watching this movie, like especially on this final viewing, I'm like, I love all of it, and like honestly, I don't want them to change a darn thing about the movie,
yeah,
but what I would give for him to just reach across that table and slice this guy's throat.
yeah. That would have
It
been
would be
great.
so intense and cool to just see the direction that the film goes in if that happens.
Yeah, I completely agree. And again, not that to go back to something we talked about a while ago. Um, if somebody was to ever remake Psycho, that's the kind of thing they need to do. We don't need a
Yeah,
shot for shot remake. Do
no,
something like that. Let Norman kill Sam.
that's
And
right. Make it
do
crazy.
something different like that. Yeah,
Throw a ton of kills in. Just make it bloody. Just
right.
make it brutal. Yeah, go that direction, like modern day slasher gore.
Yeah, I completely agree. Um, the scenes where Lila's investigating the house are pretty good. Seeing her look around and trying to figure this out, and she's seeing women's clothes. She's figuring all of this out. She still hasn't really put it together until Norman starts heading back towards the house, and she sees this, and she's scared, so she's going to hide. But again, I think this scene does great at just giving you that suspense.
Oh
It's a
yeah,
very
yep.
suspenseful scene, and so again, it's done very well. And here, Vera Miles' performance is great.
Yes, this is her looking around at things, and you can see the confused look on her face, and
Yes.
the audience, like Hitchcock's trying to put the audience in her shoes because
Right,
he's trying to give you the clues there as well to what is actually happening. Like, can you figure out why all these women's clothes are here? Can you do it? And he's
right,
doing it slow,
yeah,
but I'm still wondering whether anyone ever figured it out at this point.
yeah.
Like,
I don't. You know what? I don't know. For some reason, I'm just like, I don't think they did. Even if they were
probably
might
not.
be maybe starting to lean that direction, I still don't think they got it 100%. I'm sure they were still shocked when what happens in a few minutes happens, probably.
Yes,
But yeah, and so Norman takes off back to the house. She ends up hiding in this fruit cellar where Norman has put his mother's body. We kind of skipped over that earlier, but and we get this big scene where she sees what she believes is, I think she even says Mrs. Bates because she can
yep,
tell there's this old woman sitting there in this chair. And then as she turns the chair around, we realize that it's just this corpse. Again, another amazing scene. I think it looks so good. Um,
yep. Me too.
the way that's shot looks incredible. And then just within a few seconds, we get Norman rushing into the room, but now he's dressed as mother. But we can
Yep,
see that it's him. And here's where we realize if it's been Norman this whole time dressing his mother.
yep.
Again, I think it's a fantastic scene. Only thing I don't like about this scene, and it's a very minor nitpicking thing, is when Sam comes in behind Norman to basically save Lila. Um, the way they did that, where he's trying to restrain Norman, it just I don't think that scene looks good because it looks
I
like he's barely got a hold of him, and Norman's not
I
really even trying
agree
to
with
escape.
that.
Yeah,
On this watch, it bugs me in the sense that I like Norman Bates a lot.
right.
If I didn't, then making him look like a little bitch like they do in this scene,
Right.
I would be like, okay, good. He deserves it. But because they've made you
Yeah.
like him so much,
Yeah.
it's like, really, you're going to take down the great Norman Bates with this light little wrist lock?
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
you know what
That's
I
what I
mean?
was thinking. I'm like, seriously, that's how we ended that? But yeah.
Yes, it sucks. And it makes me realize that this, in some sense, isn't really a horror movie. That's you know what I mean? Like it is for the times, obviously. But you can tell that it's more just about the suspense thriller aspect of the movie at this point.
Yeah.
Because it is really just about him coming around the corner and the jump scare. And
Right.
the rest of it isn't, it's like nonsense.
Yeah.
It,
Well, I agree with you, and I also think this is the first time because you and I were talking earlier about how again I don't mean to just keep going back to it, but how watching this on 4K, how it doesn't look like a film that was made in 1960.
no, it does
Um,
not.
this is the only scene that I feel like looks like a film that was made in 1960 when he's
Yes,
coming
for
to
sure.
restrain Norman right there. This is
It's
the only time
very
it looks,
weak.
yeah, yeah, very
Like
weak scene
I've
here.
watched a lot of film noir, and punching in film noirs, like when two gangsters or a cop and a gangster get in a fist fight, you can just see the punches miss their face a little bit.
Yeah,
Like it feels like that sort of
right.
thing. It's just
Yeah.
kind of like, no, this is the best we got.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is the only time in this movie where I'm like, yeah, this feels like an old movie here, but it's just a couple of seconds. And so again, that's nitpicking because we've had, I mentioned the runtime earlier. This
109,
movie
yeah.
it doesn't seem like 109 to me. I feel like this
No,
movie flies by. The
it
pacing is so
does.
good.
Feels like an hour and a half.
It really
And
does.
not
If that, because one of the things I mentioned, I was comparing this to the Universal monster movies earlier when just the way they look, those movies are all less than an hour and a half.
oh yeah.
And that's how this feels to me. Like I almost
Yep.
feel like this has got the same kind of runtime as those movies did because it's
It
just
does.
so well paced and goes, flows so good.
Yep. There's no time wasted. So you're
Right.
constantly paying attention, and it's just like movies like that. They're hard to come by when the pacing is that perfect. Where it's just
Yeah.
like, you know what? It's runtime's perfect. Even
Yeah.
though a 2 hour movie is usually
Right.
like pushing 2 hours is usually like I'm starting to get a little bit antsy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
not here.
And so as we get into the finale, here's another thing that I kind of wanted your opinion on. I was going to ask you about. So earlier, we get into this finale and we've got this psychiatrist who has now, we don't get to see him talk to Norman, but he's now come back and he's telling everybody else what he has figured out. And so he's talking about the split personality. He's talking about, he mentions, I think, some really cool things that, he mentions that Norman killed his mother and her boyfriend. He
Yep.
also mentions that Norman killed two other women before ever getting to Marion. And he talks about Norman's struggle and that now mother has completely taken over. Um, I think it's a good scene. I like the way this is done. I think it's explained very well. Did you need that much explanation? Maybe not, but I just think it's a good way to wrap it up. Now,
Yeah.
what I wanted to ask you is I mentioned earlier listening to a podcast where the one guy was talking about the scene where Norman's cleaning the hotel that he could just keep watching, for another 10 minutes, even though nothing was happening. That same guy did not like this scene. He did not feel like the explanation from the psychiatrist was necessary. He felt like they should have just cut it off with Sam restraining Norman. I disagree
So
myself.
do I. I
I mean,
totally
I can
disagree with that
see
too.
maybe why someone thinks that, but I just think this is a really good way to wrap everything up to get this because I don't think
Agreed.
it's so much about um, we need everything that just happened in the movie explained to us. No, we don't. But the explanation of Norman's psyche and the way
Yes.
he's become his mother through all of
Yes.
this and finding out what he did before, all this time we've thought he was such a sweet, innocent guy. And we find out he killed his mom. He killed his mom's
Oh yeah. He's
boyfriend. He's killed
completely
two other
fucking
women.
out to
Yeah. Like,
lunch.
yeah.
And
So we
also
find all
that
of that. And I think it's great.
yeah, and that person that you're talking about that has that opinion, everyone to each their own, but obviously they're having a hard time putting themselves in the shoes of somebody from 1960.
Right.
Because in 1960, this stuff would be brand new to most people. Like, they would have never heard of split personality disorders and
Right.
like all the stuff that's going on in today. I don't even want to get into because we could get controversial.
Yeah.
So I don't like. I think the explainer is completely necessary, and I actually enjoy listening to it, even on the re watches, because it leads into this final scene pretty nicely. Like,
Yes.
it really does. Like, okay, so now we got a deep understanding of what's going on in this guy's mind.
Yeah, I completely agree because the scene that you're talking about, and we'll kind of come back and talk about all this together. You know, I know the scene you're talking about is where Norman's sitting there, but he really is Mother, and he's sitting in his voice, you know, talking about, the famous line that she wouldn't even harm a fly. I mean, we're getting this part here going on. Without that explanation from the psychiatrist, this wouldn't have meant anything, I don't think.
It wouldn't have made sense, and especially back then, no one would have
Yeah,
understood it. They would have been like, "What is going on? This movie's a mess."
right.
So the explainer has to be there. In
Yeah,
modern times, yeah, we get it. You could have left it out in today's world, and we could have figured it out and been like, "Yeah, he's a schizo. He's got split personality disorder."
right.
But yeah, back then, and I don't know. I love it.
Yeah, I'm with you
Weird.
100%. I like it. And again, it kind of goes what I was saying. It's not that I needed everything explained to me about what I just saw. I didn't need any of that. But what I liked was the way he just kind of explained Norman's deterioration process. And again, the
Yeah,
thing that jumps out the most to me is what I said, because you've watched this movie for an hour and a half, and you know Norman's crazy and he's the bad guy, but he's also been so likable that you just have a hard time imagining it. And now when you hear that he killed his mom and he killed his mom's boyfriend and he killed these two other women, you're like, oh my God, like this guy's
yeah.
really gone. You know, he's
Can't
really
believe I
out
just
there.
liked somebody that's this
Yeah, that's
brutal.
done all this. He's now killed six people, really, you
Yep.
know. So yeah,
Yep.
I think that's what's great about the explanation. And then, like you said, it sets up that final scene. Such an amazing scene with Norman sitting there, and just the look he has on his face while you're hearing Mother's voice is so incredible.
Yep.
Again, one more time, I'll say Anthony Perkins was amazing because it's just so good.
That final smile, like,
Yes.
my daughters come running out of their bedroom because they heard that I was getting close to that scene, and they love that. They love Psycho a lot, but they were doing other things today, and all of a sudden the whole living room filled up with people just to see this final
Just to
scene.
see that scene, yeah,
'Cause that's
it's
how good it
so
is.
good. It's a perfect ending to this movie, and I do like the sequels, especially Psycho 2. I think Psycho 2 is very underrated. I think
Oh,
it's a great film.
masterclass sequel.
But even if we hadn't have gotten any more, that ending was perfect for this one.
Yep,
It could have ended there and been absolutely perfect. I'm
it is.
glad we got some of the other stuff, but this would have, they could have wrapped it up here and it'd been fantastic.
Yep, it's a complete package. You don't need to see any of the other ones. The other ones are just a bonus to the
Yeah,
series, which is cool. And
I completely agree with you.
that sequel, though, if you ever do that one, I will come on your episode to talk about that one too, because that's one of my
Yeah,
all-time favorite horror movie sequels.
I thought what I might do, and I just had this idea a few minutes ago. Brendan and Sam and I, Brendan and Sam from Our Life in Horror, we started off talking about. They were a guest on my show where we talked about the first Hatchet movie,
Yep.
and after we talked about it, I think we weren't recording, and Brendan said something about if you decide to do the second one, let me know. Well, now it's just kind of turned into we've gone through three of them, and we're going to be going through the fourth one here in a little bit. So Brendan, Sam, and I have just gone through the whole Hatchet franchise. So what I thought I might do, if you're interested, is yeah, I'll periodically pull another one of the Psychos, and each time we talk Psycho, I'll just bring you back on with me, and we'll just go through the whole
Sound.
franchise if you want to.
Yeah, totally. I'll definitely
Okay.
do that.
All right. Sounds good.
We'll try and keep it to. Well, no, we'll do the remake too if you feel like it. Fuck it.
Yeah, well, yeah. We might not be as positive on that episode as
Yeah,
we've been on this one,
we'll
but
worry
yeah.
about the first four first, and then we'll see
Yeah,
how
let's
we're
get through
feeling.
that and we'll go from there. Well, all of that being said, so let me ask you this. I feel like I know your answer. You probably already know my answer, but on a scale of 1 to 10, Beau, what do you give Psycho?
I have to give it a 10. I have so little complaints, and most of them are just because I'm not as old as I need to be. So, like, my tiniest complaints is that I wish there was a tiny bit more gore. But I mean, that's just coming because we're from an age where gore is everything.
Right.
So I get, but I'm perfectly fine without it as well. Like, so
Yeah.
to this movie will always be a 10 out of 10. I I've seen it so many times now that there's not a whole lot of movies, especially from this era, that I've seen even close to this. Like, I haven't even watched the original Godzilla. I've probably seen that like 5 times in my life. Like it, so, and that's the closest to this age. A couple of the James Bond movies from
Right.
like Doctor No, I've seen quite a few times. Nothing even comes close to how many times I've watched this and how many times I probably still will.
Yeah.
So, and to me, it deserves to be on the pantheon of just groundbreaking films. They created entire industry of horror, like a horror, an entire subgenre of horror, the slasher film, and all the tropes come from this. Like, girl does bad thing, has sex, gets killed,
Right.
guaranteed. And when we say something like all those, we wouldn't have all these modern slashers without this. A good proof to that is that all the directors that made those, if Hitchcock never made this, they would have only grew up loving the monster movies of the 50s and stuff like
Right.
that. They wouldn't have grown up knowing that you can do something this edgy.
Yeah.
So that's probably why we would have never got all
Oh,
those.
yeah, I agree. And they acknowledge that. I mean, they all acknowledge it. It's so funny to me because they all acknowledge how influenced they were by this film. And, then the progression goes from there because even as you see stuff that's still coming out now, people not only mentioned that, but, people were inspired by so many people were inspired by Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes,
That inspired so much. And Texas Chainsaw Massacre is inspired by Psycho. So,
that's right.
I mean, yeah, if you wouldn't have, I fully believe if we wouldn't have got this, we probably never would have got some of these other classic
Yeah,
slasher characters.
all those directors, they would have never seen them. John Carpenter, Toby Hooper, Wes Craven, they would have never seen
Yeah,
this movie, so they would have been making monster movies. And it
right.
would have probably went into the 80s for all we know. Like,
Yeah.
this, we would have still been seeing guys in rubber suits doing monster movies from the
Well,
50s. Not
yeah,
that
and
I'm complaining. I love a lot of those, but
but I mean, I think a good point to that too is look at some of the other movies that, and I'm not saying they're bad, but look at some of the other movies that Toby Hooper made,
yes,
and they're so different
they are.
than
They are.
the
They're
Texas
nothing
Chainsaw
like
Massacre.
Texas
Yeah,
Chainsaw Massacre.
so
They're all
different.
crazy.
So what that tells me is had he not had that influence from Psycho, we know what we would have got from Toby Hooper. We would have got all this other stuff that
Yep.
it's okay, but it's not
Space
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
vampires and
Yeah,
all the crazy stuff that he likes to do.
right,
Vampire movies. We wouldn't have got this just gritty, psychotic movie that makes you just brutally uncomfortable and doesn't have that much gore.
right.
It even copies Psycho in that department, like
Yeah,
hardly any blood and gore.
yeah.
So yeah, I have to give it a 10 out of 10.
No,
That's
and so you know what? I 100% agree with you. It's so I was just looking at this today um, before you and I got ready to record. When I changed my format from rating movies 1 to 5 to rating them 1 to 10, I looked back through um, my entire list of movies that I've done episodes on that I've given 1 to 10 ratings, and only one movie so far up until to this one have I given a 10 out of 10. But this is a 10 out of 10 for me. I've seen this movie, like you said, more times than I can count, and the simple fact that watching it today for the 20th, 30th time, who knows, I still had to pause it if I was going to step away because I didn't want to
You didn't
miss
want to miss
anything.
any
Yeah,
dialogue and
anything.
any. I
And
know.
I feel like it's just one of those movies that, like you said, we're, gosh, 75 years old, something like that. I don't even know. But
Yeah,
it, I almost like it gets better every time I watch it. Like I just develop more and more appreciation of this movie every single time I watch it.
I
It,
know.
yeah,
It's I'm in the same boat. It's the same
it's
thing.
a It's a 10 out of 10 for me. The only other movie since I changed my format that I gave 10 out of 10 was Jaws. Uh,
Yep, I
Jaws
would
and
put that too.
Psycho, 10 out of 10. So yeah,
Agreed
um,
and agreed.
yeah. So now I feel like I'll probably have a few of those in October. With I was talking to you the other day. I've got a lot of slasher
Yep, the
originals
list
coming
you
up in
sent me,
October. Yeah,
there's some doozies in there, so there's
yeah.
some good
There's going to be
rumors
some good
coming.
stuff on there. October is going to be fun. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up our discussion on Psycho. Before
Yeah.
we get out of here, uh, I will say, Bo, thank you so much again. This has been, I mean, you and I have done stuff together before. We've done stuff with Brendan before, but in all honesty, this has been one of my favorite episodes that I've done so far. This has been so
Oh,
much
dude,
fun talking about
thanks.
Psycho today. So I really do appreciate you coming on and doing this with me. Um,
Thank you. Jeez.
tell everybody
I
about,
love.
yeah, it's just so good. Tell everybody about Critic After Dark and what you have coming up there.
Yeah, it's just here on YouTube. I don't have any of the other social medias. I'm just not tech savvy enough, and I'm lazy. So I only have YouTube, and well, I do have Letterboxd. If anybody wants to follow me on there, it's the same thing. Critic After Dark. I rank everything I watch on there. I'm up into the thousands and thousands of movies watched at this point on there, and it's kind of fun. I put them all into lists and stuff, and it's kind of the same thing I do over on my YouTube channel. I like to do rankings. I've been doing it since I was probably 15. I've had OCD with this stuff. I just like to make lists and I like to
Yeah.
rank things. So on YouTube, I decided to just rank years. Like right now, I'm working on 2008, and I'm just instead of doing watching every single movie from the year and then putting up one great big video at the end, I was like, okay, that's going to take me like 3 months to do that. I'm breaking it down into 10 movies per episode, and I'm ranking them all against each other. And the winners of all my episodes will battle it out in a final episode to determine what my overall movies our top
Oh,
movie of the year
okay.
will be. And I'm just going to do that probably. That's going to take me a while. I have almost 200 movies from 2008 in my collection, and I'm probably just going to do 100 and keep it to
Okay.
100, and because it's a lot. If I get to
Yeah.
100, if I make it that far, and then I might throw in some bonus episodes if I feel like still going on 2008, but we'll
Got it.
see. That's what I'm doing right now. It'll probably be at least another. I'm on episode 3 coming up, so there'll be at least
Okay.
another 7 of those.
Got it. Okay. Well, yeah, if you haven't subscribed to Bo's channel, go do so. What I have coming up next week, I have two episodes coming out next week. One will be on a movie called Green Room. I don't feel like as many people know that movie. I don't hear it talked about very much, but I'll be talking about that movie.
So
And then I'm going to review The Menu. I'll be talking about that one at all. A very different kind of movie. So that'll be my episodes for next week. So please check those out. Um, I am on all kinds of social media. I'm pretty much on everything out there: Blue Sky, Instagram, um, Threads, X, TikTok. Yeah, you can follow me, Sean
yeah,
Zor
you're on
Connor, on
everything.
all of it. I am. I just
You're
and
active.
well, it's just to promote my channel. I mean, that's what I do with all of it. Even my own personal Facebook page has pretty much become the exact same stuff as my all my other pages. I'm doing the same stuff on there.
Yeah,
But I mean, it's just it's what it is.
it
So
works.
yeah,
It's kind of what you have to do. The only
yeah,
way I support my channel is just coming on your guys' channel. I'm hoping one
that's all
day
right.
as you guys get bigger, you'll just bring me along with you because I just keep coming on your channel, so I don't have to do all the work.
No, that's all right. That works. So yeah, go follow Bo, subscribe to his channel. If you haven't subscribed to mine yet, please do so. And yeah, we'll wrap this up. Bo's going to come back. He'll be with me in October. I think you picked Hellraiser. Is that right?
Hellraiser, yes. I have the
Yeah.
4K
So
collection and I've been dying to dig into it. So when you gave me that as an option, I was like, definitely.
okay. So yeah, Bo will be back on in October, and we'll talk about Hellraiser, and then we'll start scheduling some more Psycho episodes. So
Perfect.
all right, Bo. Thanks again for coming on. Everyone, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon.